What's up, everyone? Ian and Jesse here. We'll put his details in the text box below at Kokoro Movement. We're here in Flagstaff, Arizona. We're going to take you through some of the really good side-lying hip stuff on the table. This is something I got from my guy Mitch Broser, really smart guy out of Toronto. So what we're doing here is we're really working on isolating rotation of the hip. Because of the orientation of gravity, it's actually gonna make it a little easier on internal rotation, which is really a big plus for most people, since lacking internal rotation is very common, at least with who I'm dealing with. A couple of things to really go into detail about our setup. So what I wanna think is about his sternum is a headlight, and so is the front of his hip. I want both of those things to be facing completely straight forward the whole time. So you can see, go ahead and bring this forward. The other thing that we're looking for is really for his pelvis to be stacked on top of each other. So if he falls out, not only does the headlight go up to the ceiling, but it also falls out where we don't want it. So keep that in mind. This knee we want to be at about in line with his hip and about 90 degrees. That's not the only place you can do it. Obviously you can do it anywhere, but starting off, keeping it uniform, really good idea. We also want the knee to stay at 90 degrees in terms of knee flexion, so this angle right here. We don't want him to over-recruit hamstring to flex the knee instead of getting rotation at the hip, and we don't want him to flex the hip instead of getting that rotation. So from here, we're also looking to get some adductor on this side. So what I can do is I can say, don't let me pick you up. He's firing his inner thigh so that his foot pushes down into the ground. So all those things are really great. If you find yourself having trouble with hip flexion, meaning your knee is rising up, go ahead and just do that so they can see it. You can go ahead and do what he just did, put that wrist there, and now he has an active block or a feedback mechanism. With the left side of the obliques, they need to be pulling away from there so that we're not laterally flexing the spine to fake motion at the hip. So keep that in mind too, even though you can't see it. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna have him come out to here, and we're gonna test his active range of motion. So staying on that line, I just want you to do hip ER and then hip IR. With the IR especially, we wanna control it down there. Go ahead and do one more. Good, okay, and relax. So here's his active range of motion. Now what I can do is I can try to keep his ankle as neutral as possible. I can try to keep his knee as neutral as possible. So I don't really want that there. I want that to be nice and in line. And then I can take him, tell him to relax, take him into this. I'm gonna make sure that that stays there. There's no extra knee bend. He's gonna start to irradiate tension through his whole body and really fire everything to lift up off my hand. 3, 2, 1, hold. 10, 9, 5 seconds, 7 seconds. Progressive overload as always. Find out where you need to be challenged, make sure you're being challenged, and then overload the next week, the next time, over a series of time. Now, there's gonna really bridge the gap. So that's my passive range hold. I'm making his passive range motion active by really closing that gap down. What I want to do now is add a little bit of an eccentric load or focus on eccentrics through the whole motion. So go ahead and do one more passive range hold. 3, 2, 1. Now he's going to do 10 seconds on the way down. I can put my hand here as a cue. Don't touch me, don't touch me. So I make sure he's going slow. He's going to come all the way down into it. And then I can assist him back up since we're only working the eccentric there. And then I can go into my next rep. After that, what we can do is go back to exactly what we were doing with our assessment. Go ahead and do active reps. So we're just gonna own the whole range of motion. Now as a coach, we know, again, progressive overload, I need to eventually add more load if I want an adaptation. So I can go ahead and put my hand here, push, push, push. I can put it here for the IR, make sure you drive through me. So I'm adding a little bit of light resistance. If I know from our strength length curve that he's gonna be weaker in his end range, I can either apply more end range to make that specific, or I can be really hard on him in the middle, keep going, and then towards his end range, I can relax and let him get to it. Other consideration would be really to use an ankle weight. It's a really great way to do this, especially on the eccentric loading, because when I have him slowly coming down with the ankle weight, he's actually resisting it instead of letting gravity take him. So it's a whole nother training stimulus. Again, big things to look for. No change in the hips. I don't want him to sag back. I want to make sure that he stays stacked. I want to feel those left obliques working. Take your time in between reps. Do a breath or two, reposition yourself, then get back into it. There should never be any pinching in the hip or any pain. You should feel as if you're spiraling or screwing through the capsule and really getting that good control over rotation. What would you follow this up with? Hip carves would be a great idea. Squatting would be a great idea. And if you're a therapist and you're working on any manual work or releasing anything, having them stay right on the table and transition right into training, That is a beautiful combo. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you have any questions, let us know, and we'll put some more details in the text box below. Have a great day. Well done.